Hello. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Kalisperasas. Together, tonight, we will travel back a few years back. And I would like to introduce you a little kingdom over there. You can see the green light on the screen. That's Macedonia in Greece. And there, once upon a time, hundreds of years ago, before Christ was born, look how far from Washington all the way down to Macedonia in Greece. There was a handsome young prince called Alexandros. Alexandros. What was the name? Alexandros. Look at him. Was handsome and beautiful. And Alexandros has got a beautiful horse with a big head. And that's why they used to call the horse Bucephalos. Bucephalos. And of course, he had a fantastic teacher. And his name was Aristoteles. And he taught him mathematics and techniques and how to rule his kingdom. At the same time, when Alexandros was living in the kingdom of Macedonia, Cyprus, a tiny little island in the Eastern Mediterranean, you can see this one, but I will show you where about is Cyprus. Look at where is Washington, D.C. You can see the red line all the way passing through the Atlantic, and there is little Cyprus. In that little island of Cyprus, the island was uniquely rich in something very strange. The Cypriots used to dig inside the ground, and they bring a special ore that they put inside ovens. Look at this oven there. They used to light it with fire. And when the temperature went up and up and up, all the way down to 800 to 1,000 degrees, suddenly, out of this ground, they used to bring copper. Look at these copper nails. And you see this copper. And they used to manufacture spears like this one. Look at the spears they used to manufacture and other useful equipment. So, Cyprus in those ancient times was very rich in forests and trees, pine trees, and cedar trees, oak trees, all kind of trees. And Cypriots used to make ships, very strong ships, and they had fantastic ship builders, like the master shipbuilder Pyrgotelis Zoitos from the town of Paphos. And look at him. He used to manufacture ships using planks like this one. And inside, look, he used to dig each plank. Can you see the little square holes? Can you see the little square holes on the plank? And inside the plank, look, he used to put these tenons, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4,000 tenons to manufacture ships with a method called shell first. And look at them digging each plank and putting inside each plank a tenon, wooden tenons, and support them with wooden pegs. And then he would take a second plank and dig it also. Look at the square holes. Can you see the square holes? And that is the second plank. And look how it will harmoniously fit. And this is how the ancient Greeks used to call these square holes, harmonias. And look at the result. So slowly, slowly, they used to build the ship like this in the so-called shell-first method. And then they put the ribs, and of course, strong ships. Ships that used to carry cargo, amphoras full of wine, like this little one, this miniature amphora, Rhodian amphora, that they used to fill with wine and oil, olive oil, and used to carry it. And of course, they used to manufacture warships like this one, triremes, with 1, 2, 3 triremes, 3 rows of oars. The awesome king of Persia, Darius, when he saw that Cyprus was so rich in copper and ships, waged a war against the copper-rich Cyprus and captured the tremendous treasures and wealth of the Cypriots. And the Persians were now much closer to Greece. So, Alexandros, who took over from his father Philippos, he wanted to free Cyprus from the Persian army. However, in order to do that, Alexandros, he needed ships to carry food and equipment to his soldiers. So, Alexandros learned that in the port of the small Hellenic town of Kyrenia on the north coast of Cyprus, there was a very, very strange ship. And there you can see the port of Kyrenia. A small but very old ship existed there with a very great secret. It is this secret that made the old and worm-eaten sailing ship the fastest of all known trading ships in those times. And there you can see the ship. And in spite of being old, the ship was beautiful with big eyes, look at them, and 4 sailors, and most importantly, it was 3 times faster than every other ship in those times. And here you can see the little ship here, which was 15 meters long by 4.5 meters wide and a depth of 2 meters. Alexandros admired her beauty and her tremendous speed, and he asked the captain, "Captain, will you join us? Will you help us to free Cyprus and carry food and equipment for my soldiers?" "Yes, my lord," answered the captain. "I will definitely come and assist you." So many hard-working years passed, and the worm-eaten but very fast Hellenic sheep happily carried hundreds of amphoras. Can you see this one? A big amphoras. Look at them. All the amphoras piled up in the hull of the ancient ship of Kyrenia carried all the food and equipment for Alexandros. They carried almonds, lentil, figs, and many other equipment like millstones. You can see here some dry figs, and 10,000 almonds were usually carried on board, and lentil and many other equipment for Alexandros' army. Look at the millstones here. Milling, crushing wheat for flour, for making bread for the army of Alexandros. There you can see a millstone consisting of two parts, the top and the bottom part, and you can see where they used to put the wheat in there, and there you have the flour for making bread. Fully loaded with 380 Rhodian amphorae, the ship was carrying equipment and food for Alexandros. Alexandros and his brave soldiers fought Darius. They won Darius and offered freedom to Cyprus and the rest of the countries. However, Alexandros was careless. The brave, noble, and wise king fell very ill, and Alexandros died. However, when Alexandros died, his beautiful 18-year-old sister called Salonika. What was her name? Salonika was only 18 years old, and she was crying and crying for months and almost a year. And the good gods in those times took pity of her and gave her to drink the magic water, which was making humans immortal. However, as soon as she drank the water, she became half fish and half the beautiful sister of Alexandros, Salonika. And she became a mermaid. And she traveled all through the oceans, asking the captains of every ship, "Zi o Vasilias, Alexandros, is Alexandros the king alive?" If the captain answered wisely, knowing that the sister loved so much her brother Alexandros, "Yes, my lady, he is very well and reigns the world," she would immediately stop the stormy seas and let the winds blow into the sails of the ships favorably from the stern of the ship onto the sail and lead the ship to the proper port. However, if the captain dared to give her a straight answer that her brother died, then she would raise high her long slim fin tail and smash it on the surface of the sea like the tail of a huge, gigantic humpback whale, creating huge waves like dark, high, and cold mountains and stormy winds with deafening thunderstorms, and soon the wrecked crewmen would have to swim for their lives. The old, worm-eaten trading ship of Kyrenia with a great, smart, and crafty secret that made her 3 times faster than any other ship, carried cargo and equipment, always passing through the beautiful port of Kyrenia, my hometown. Her old wooden hull was full of little tiny holes, and her young new captain had to repair her 3 times before she could sail again. And he covered her underwater shell with thin lead plate. And this is where you can see the black part of the ship was covered with thin lead plates. Yes, the eyes, to help the ship sail away from the stormy weather. It was a beautiful morning, that morning in the little port of Kyrenia. The captain loaded 384 beautiful Rhodian amphoras with sweet wine and 29 millstones. He took the magic key that locked the great secret of knowledge, the knowledge that made the ship go 3 times faster than any other ship of those times. And there you can see the key, which was found later on in the ship. As time passed and the wind started blowing stronger, the heavily loaded trading ship of Kyrenia passed the harbor exit and was just a mile off the coast when her young and ignorant captain started to fill up the sail with wind. Ahoy! Let the brails go! Open the sail! Lee, ready to jibe! Lee ho! And the skipper was giving his orders. The sail was full up with wind, and she started sailing fast and away when suddenly the crew and the captain heard a very strange voice behind them. Is Alexander the Great alive? Zio Vasilias Alexandros. And the captain turned back, and he saw the mermaid. And he answered, "He is dead, my lady. 40 years ago he died. Alexander is no longer alive." And then, as you can imagine, with a terrible whistling noise, the tail of the mermaid shot up in the blue sky like a bolt of lightning, and nobody had the chance to grab the key which held the great secret of knowledge. Like the noise of 1,000 thunders, the tail fell on the flat sea of Kyrenia. And look what happened to the ship. The mast was broken down. The yard was cut in the middle. And the 4 crewmen just managed to swim ashore. And there you can see the ship of Kyrenia being taken by the sea, by the huge waves created by the tail of the mermaid. And she sank into a little mountain of mud and seaweed at 30 meters depth of the Sea of Kyrenia. Many thousand years passed since then. And one night, a Kyrenian diver, Andreas Cariolu, my late father, saw a dream. He saw a dream. In his dream, he saw a little mermaid. And the mermaid revealed to him, "Andreas, follow the sunrise path. There I will lead you to the hidden great secret of knowledge in the deep." Andreas jumped up off his bed, and he immediately went down to the harbor of Kyrenia, and there you can see the harbor of Kyrenia, and Andreas in his boat. He started his boat, and he was waiting and waiting until the sunrise. And there, in the sunrise, he saw this strange-looking shape traveling on the horizon. Traveling and traveling, and he followed it. He followed it all the time. And when he approached, suddenly the ship was gone. This ghost ship, there you can see it in the path of the rising sun. The ship was gone. At the same time, Andreas dropped the anchor of his boat, where his aqualung tank, and he dove. He dove into the Sea of Kyrenia. There you can see him. He dove to find the secret that the little mermaid revealed to him during his dream. And look at what he saw. He has seen a small mountain of amphoras, of little amphoras like this one, this miniature one, Rhodian amphoras, into the sea, on the seabed. Many years passed. More than 50 archaeologists, like Michael and Susan Katzev, Dick Steffi and Lina Sweeney from the Pennsylvania University and other parts of the world, 54 scientists diving to discover this great secret that was making the ship of Kyrenia to sail 3 times faster than any other ship. They excavated, and look what they found. 29 millstones from the island of Nisiros, and more than 300 Rhodian amphoras, almonds, lentil, and above all, the ship itself, the wood from the ship and its shell. And they discover how the ancient mariners were manufacturing their boats. They are building up their boats. However, as the ship of Kyrenia was placed in the castle of Kyrenia, like Darius many thousands years before, Turkey invaded Cyprus. And they captured the Kyrenian town. And they captured and enslaved the ship in the castle of Kyrenia. And the scientists continued to find out the big secret that was hidden in the ship of Kyrenia. Scientists and archaeologists are still studying now to find the big secret that was making this little ship go 3 times faster than any other ship. In trying to find out, the scientists had to manufacture replicas, ship replicas, meaning ships that look exactly as the ancient ship. And here you can see a small model of the replica that they constructed. Look, they have constructed 2 replicas, the Kyrenia II and the Kyrenia Liberty. And there you can see I am one of the 2 captains of the ship, and we are trying to discover the big secret. However, we did not. Look, warships, 1, 2, 3 rows, many oars that the oarsmen used to oar, and they used to lead the warships inside ports. However, in ancient times, at the time of Alexander the Great, the ship of Kyrenia had only one big square sail like this one, that they used to control the wind. And the captain would approach the port and pull up the sail. Look at the captain pulling up the sail and letting the ship stop outside the port of Kyrenia. Look at all the brails, the 10 brails, and the lead rings. And I do have here a lead ring that was discovered on board the Kyrenia ship. Can you see the lead ring? There. One of the lead rings. 60 lead rings. Look at it. So, no oars. So the captain, what did he do? He dropped the anchor outside the port, and at the time of the Alexander the Great, he pulled out his iPhone and he telephoned. You're laughing. Do you think that in those times they did not have iPhones? Of course not. Did they have iPhones in those times? No, definitely not. However, if I tell you that we did discover the iPhone of the captain, would you like to see it? Yes? Are you sure? Are you not going to be afraid of seeing an ancient iPhone? Okay, you are all witnessing this. They said no. Okay, let's try. You still want to see it? Let's see. You don't believe me. And here is the iPhone, or the portable communicator of the ancient captain who used to call from outside the port of Kyrenia. Hello? Yes? Can I have a boat with 3 pairs of oarsmen, please? No. How much do you need? 3 talents? No way. 1.5 will do it. Tomorrow? No. I am very tired. I have 4 sailors. We need now. We need a boat with 3 oarsmen. Signals, 3 pairs of oarsmen, and that's why they used to communicate. So this is the portable iPhone the captains used to have in those times, and this is a trident shell, and this is how they communicated. Well, however, since you have been so nice and so tentative and listening, I will try to make a small trick. Can you tell me from where do we get this paper from? From where do we get this paper from? Trees. And from where do we get these pieces of wood out of? Yes? Trees again. So if I give you a little piece of wood or paper, you will be able to make a small Kyrenia ship, okay? I put my hand in the little magic back here. I am holding. Come on. Right. 1. And wait for me. Don't do anything until I give you some instructions. Beautiful. Some more. And some more. Come on, let's have some more. That's tiny little pieces of wood or paper. However, we never throw away paper, of course. We always recycle paper. Never throw it away. And if you try to put in the water, it will dissolve. So don't do it. And wait for me. Wait for me, because I'll give you some instructions what to do next. And then We will call upon the dragons of the sea. Okay, everyone has got a little tiny piece of wood or a piece of paper. Everybody? Okay, follow me, please. Turn the 2 dots towards the sky. Look at the 2 little dots. Can you see the 2 little dots? Put that corner towards the sky. Okay? Now, take one thumb, left hand thumb, right hand thumb, hold it from there, from the 2 dots. Look at me, hold it from the 2 dots. Look, and watch me. Oh, what's going on? Oh, look, what's going on? Oh.
I did it.
Yes, you did it. Yes, show it to everybody. So we have a little Kyrenia boat. Yes. Look at the eyes looking at you. So look at the eyes and look at my other hand. Look at my right hand. Look at it. I'm going to hold the sail now. Look at the sail now. Look. Watch me.
You do it.
I'm holding the sail. Hold the sail. Free the other hand. Hold the boat from the sail, please. Hold the boat with your right hand from the sail. And look at the dragon of the sea. Trying to be. Look. Okay. Can you do that?
I do it. Well, I do it.
Look. Can you do that? Well done. Show to the others. So, now, let us see. Unfortunately, we did not find the secret. Can you imagine what will be the secret? I would like now to come round and I will show you how they used to sail the ship. And maybe one day you can study nautical archaeology yourselves, and maybe you can find the big secret that was making the ship of Kyrenia go so fast. I thank you very much, and I would like to have any questions that you might have, kids, or even the parents might have some questions. I'm ready to answer. Yes, please.
Was the sister of really a mermaid?
Yes. Is she real? Is this the question?
No. Was she really a mermaid?
Oh, the question is, was the sister of Alexandros, the Alexander the Great, was she really a mermaid? No, this is a mythology. This is a tradition. People love the tradition, which because the sister of Alexander, she was very sad and very young when he died, they did not wish to allow her to continue crying. So they manufactured this tale, this traditional myth that we have in the Mediterranean about the mermaid. So the answer is, in this case, it was a traditional myth, and it still is, that the mermaid is wandering around in the oceans helping mariners. Yes, another question? Yes, please.
Did they get the mermaid?
Did they get the mermaid? No, the mermaid is free in the oceans. As we say, it's a myth, it's a tale, it's a traditional story. It's a beautiful story that we tell to the children. So they did not never get the mermaid yet. Yes, please.
How old was Alexander when he died?
Oh, just 32 to 33 years old. He was very young, and that's why his sister was so sad.
I be right.
Yes? And another question?
I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. Any question from the parents, please? Thank you very much for your attention. Oh, one question here.
The clothes that you're wearing, is that a real toga from your country?
What am I wearing? This is a traditional dress that ancient mariners used to wear. Because it's winter time, they have covered their hands with sleeves. But however, it should be short so they can jump and move around the boat. And what you see surrounding this dress is the river Meandros, which is by tradition. What you see, even in Washington, you can see this. And it's a traditional kind of sketch that we do in every drawing, in dresses. And it symbolizes one of the rivers in ancient Minor Asia, or Ionia, where most of the Greeks were coming from. And the Meandros River was having this kind of shape. And this is why it's called Meandros. Any other question, please? Yes?
I wonder what inspired, I know your father was a diver, but what inspires you to be a captain? And are there any stories that you can share with the children about your experience being a captain?
Yes, the question was what were my own experiences as a captain of this kind of ship, I guess. That was the question. Yes, it's a very strange experience because if you are a modern time sailor and you're sailing such a traditional boat and such ancient boat, there are many differences. For example, in a modern yacht, you have a sail, you have a Marconi sail, a triangular sail, that you can use both sides of the sail. However, in antiquity, in ancient times, there was a leeward and a windward side. There was a side where you always must have the wind, and there is a side where you must never have the wind. For example, if you allow the wind to blow from the opposite side, from this side, where you can see the rings, then you destroy your sail, you lose control on the sail. In modern yachting, we call this system as fairing gear. We collect the sail, we minimize the surface area of the sail. In antiquity, in ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks used to tailor, they used to sew this lead ring that I have shown before. And this presents many difficulties and many differences for a modern sailor. And it took us some time until we managed to control the ship and to be able to sail the ship in very strong weather. For example, Kyrenia 2, we were able to sail here in force 8 to force 9, which is approximately 35 knots to 40 knots, gusting 40 knots of wind, which is a tremendous, even for modern yachts, this is a very difficult time to sail. And you can also see the ropes that we are using. They have to be made out of a cactus called Agave cisalana. And you can actually see here, let's have this rope. There you can see the initial stage of the rope. You can see the little fibers coming out of the cactus. Yes, can you hold it? Hold it strongly, hold it. Look, hold it. I'm going to push it. Look, I can tear it apart in little tiny fibers. And this is how they used to make ropes, out of tiny little fibers from agave sissalana. And that's why nowadays we call it sisal rope. But it's very strong, and it has a very big secret. It elongates when the weather is dry, and it shrinks up to 15% when you have humidity. So you can imagine if you are sailing with rainy weather, it becomes almost impossible. We don't know how these people manage to sail their ships in the winter time. We know that they did sail in winter time. Otherwise, they could not return from the island of Cyprus back to the Aegean Sea. So, last question. Yes. Yes, please.
How many people were there on the ship?
Excellent question. How many people were on board the ship of Kyrenia? The archaeologists, the underwater archaeologists, discover 4 spoons, 4 plates, and 4 of almost everything. So how many do you think there were? Probably 4. So archaeologists believe that we had 4 sailors on board, 4 or 5. This is why usually we sail it with 4 or 5 people.
How many things were on the ship?
How many?
How many things were on the ship?
How many things? Oh, how many things? There are more than 3,000 things on the ship. We have planks. If you mean we have 1 mast, 1 yard, we have 60 lead rings, we have 10 brails, we have 380 amphoras, 29 millstones, 10,000 almonds, many thousands of lentil, and other stuff and material. A lot of things, masses of findings. The archaeologists, believe it or not, from 1968 up to today, they are investigating. One more question. I guess the question is if we managed to find out how was she sailing. Again, a part of the myth that the sail was sailing 3 times faster than any other ship, it's a part of the tale for the children. We are using this tale in order to promote children to be interested, especially in underwater archaeology and sciences, because there are a lot of difficult questions as regards hydrodynamics, aerodynamics, etc. And this is the only method to attract children towards this kind of scientific items. We have absolutely no proof, of course, that this ship was sailing 3 times faster than every other ship. But the discoveries that are coming out of these ships, and especially this one, I must tell you that this ship, it is the only one discovered in the world with 50% of its shell intact. That is the difference between every other ship. It belongs, some of the pieces of wood were from 380 BC, and some of the artifacts found on board were 282 BC. The almonds, for example, they were cut from the trees at 282 BC. And some of the hull planks were dated by carbon-14, 380 BC. I thank you very much. Thank you.